Part 18. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 172. Chapter 172, Two People Who Look at Each Other, Additional Update. Hyans felt uncomfortable. Okay, Jiao, stop making trouble and go back first. It seems that some people are destined not to have deep friendships. On the way back, Fang Kai crossed Xiangyang and walked up to He Jiao, chatting with her about the fight. Fang Kai may seem very well behaved, but he is also a naughty person. Otherwise, given the conditions of his family, how could he get together with Hyans and the others? Just because I love to play and make trouble, I don't go to school well. Xiangyang shook his head and smiled, thinking about how to reject Grandma He when he went back. Grandma He wished he would refuse. But what she didn't know was that He Jiao's marriage was just around the corner. Xiangyang and her didn't see eye to eye, but someone was thinking about her. All the way home, Fang Kai was still at He Jiao's side, showing his attentiveness. Their situation was noticed by Grandma He and Grandma Jinghua as soon as they entered the yard. The two looked at each other and smiled. Grandma Jinghua learned about the situation of the people who just brought Hyans back. Although the situation of Fang Kai's family is not very good, it is not bad either. It is considered a good thing for people in rural areas. Just like Lixia, after marrying in the city, life is much better than in her natal family. Grandma, look, Brother Ans is so good at catching a big snake. He Jiao ran to her grandma to show off like a treasure. Grandma Jinghua smiled, I see, Ans is very good, but not as good as your sister-in-law. She praised Xiaoxiu, but compared with Xiaoxiu, she liked Xiaoxiu better. Grandma He was happy. Of course, I don't want to see whose granddaughter-in-law she is. Grandma Jinghua has no way to deal with this old guy. Sure, you are the only one who has good sense and chose Xiaoxiu at the beginning. Grandma He is really not happy that no one in the village knows about it. She was not embarrassed at all by such a compliment. That's because I have good vision, otherwise Ans would be living the life he is living now. The last words were obviously intended to be louder. As an old man, he knew what she meant and casually glanced at the entrance of the courtyard. Of course Li Yu heard it too. He could bear the discomfort, but so what? Hyans put the snake into a bag. The snake would definitely not wait until Boss Jian and the others came to collect it. It would be some time before they could enter the village. At least they would have to wait until the vegetables at home were grown. Grandma, why don't we have snake stew for lunch? Hyans walked out of the utility room and said. I don't have a problem, as long as your friends don't mind. This kind of game is considered meat in rural areas, but for those who can't eat it, it is not meat. Hyans looked at his friends and asked, do you want to eat? If not, he would bring it to Uncle Zhao when he went to the county town. Eat. Fang Kai responded first. He even glanced at He Jiao. After seeing the look on her face, he became even more arrogant. Brother He, can I help you kill him later? Li Fei and Hyans were happy. The relationship is good. I'll leave it to you in a minute anyway. It's not poisonous, and it will only hurt if you are bitten. Fang Kai could hardly hold on to the smile on his face. Fortunately, thinking about that person in his mind, he became bolder and said, it can be done. He Jiao smiled and walked to Fang Kai. Do you really dare to kill? There are a lot of snakes for some reason. She was a little worried. It's okay, everyone has their first time. I'll learn and I'll definitely be more comfortable in the future. Still not so confident. But the impression is a good one. Then, I'll help you later. He Jiao couldn't bear to say. Don't, it will be bad if it bites you. Fang Kai shook his head immediately. He was afraid that he would bite her if he didn't control it well. He may have been frightened, but He Jiao didn't force it. Well, be careful. If you don't succeed, let Ans kill you. He won't be afraid. Xiangyang, who was not far away, breathed a sigh of relief, but also felt very disappointed. but he didn't pay much attention to it. Grandma Jinghua and others no longer set their sights on Xiangyang. Mei Shui didn't wake up from her grandma's bed until dinner was ready. As soon as she woke up, she smelled the fragrance and took a deep breath. Snake, Grandma is stewing snake meat. Mei Shui smiled. Getting up from the bed, Mei Shui walked directly to the kitchen, being attracted by the fragrance. In the afternoon, he Jiao helped the third grandmother to tie all the quilts at home. This time, she was not doing the work alone. There was always someone by her side. That is Fang Kai. Li Yu looked at Fang Kai's behavior and knew that he might have fallen in love with the girl. For some reason, she felt very unhappy. After trying to make trouble verbally twice but being blocked by Fang Kai, she stopped paying attention to Fang Kai and the others. I went out and found a place to sit down. It was cold at this time, but as long as I wore enough clothes, I could bear it. When it came to Xiangyang, he seemed to have listened to what the two old men said, and he had a different attitude towards Li Yu, maintaining an expression of not chatting as long as possible. Even Li Fei was worried about his sister for a while, but seeing that everyone was still friendly, he stopped saying anything. Xiaoxiu, you're awake. Grandma is still thinking of waking you up. Are you dizzy from sleeping? Mei Shui was discovered by her grandma as soon as she entered the kitchen. Mei Shui felt a little embarrassed and touched her nose. Grandma. Okay, Grandma, don't say anything. Come and sit down quickly. It's windy outside and it's cold. Grandma. He pointed to the door of the stove where the fire was burning. Mei Shui was so polite. Well, Grandma, how long will it take for the meal to be ready? Where are he Ans and the others? There was no way, she didn't see them here. Don't worry, Ans didn't leave. He was cleaning up the house over there, but his friends were all gone. You were sleeping at that time, so I didn't wake you up. It's okay as long as the person left. It's troublesome at home. Then why didn't they go back after dinner? Grandma is not a stingy person. They cooked and ate by themselves in the afternoon. After eating, they left. Oh, okay then. Mei Shui took another deep breath. Grandma, why did you remember to stew snake meat? Grandma. He was very happy. I stewed it, it was Ans. They caught a snake in the back mountain at noon. His friends wanted to eat it, but they didn't stop talking for a while and ate them all. No, I'm afraid you wanted to eat it, so you went to grab another one and stewed it for you to eat alone. The grandson feels sorry for his daughter-in-law, and Grandma he wholeheartedly agrees. Hearing that he caught it specially for her, Mei Shui felt warm in her heart. Grandma, I'll go ask he Ans to come over for dinner. For some reason, she wanted to see him at this time. After saying that, Mei Shui got up and walked out. Grandma he didn't keep her either. The young couple had a good relationship, so she didn't want to be that annoying old woman. Slow down on the road, the ground is slippery. He could only yell at Mei Shui's back. I know, Grandma. When Mei Shui came to her new home, she saw the lights in all the rooms were on. She pushed open the fence door and walked in. Dear babies, don't forget to vote. It's the day of extra updates on the weekend again. Are you all happy? Hee hee. I'm asking for recommendation votes, monthly votes, and rewards. Recently, no one loves me anymore, and no one is giving me rewards. Alas, I'm asking for rewards. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 173. Chapter 173, Watching TV. He Ans, where are you? Not knowing where he was, Mei Shui could only shout. As soon as he Ans heard his wife's voice, he walked out of a deep hole and walked quickly outside. Xiaoxiu, I'm here. Originally, I wanted to make a hole in my own room, but unfortunately, Xiaoxiu wanted to live upstairs, so I had to make a hole in another room. Mei Shui saw the other person and immediately walked over. What are you doing? I'm looking at the hole. Come here and I'll take you to see it. Hans thought about going up and moving those things down tonight. No, is it safe to leave it there? This room will definitely be used by guests in the future. Why he is so sure is because he has too many friends. You can't let him come back without bringing his friends. That's right, Zioxiu, what do you think we should do? It's not convenient to put it upstairs. It's better to just put it on the mountain and talk about it later. Mei Shui raised her eyebrows. What if someone finds out? He was still worried. Money was so attractive that he didn't dare to gamble. This human heart refers to himself. Mei Shui didn't want to reveal her space. Then let's put it here. In the end, Mei Shui could only point to the hole and said, yes, that's all. Don't be afraid. This hole is under the bed, and most people won't touch the bed. It's safer to put it inside than to put it on the mountain. Then you put it here. Mei Shui has a lot of money in the space now. There is no need to sell these gold bars, so just put it here. There are still some in the space anyway. Well, that's what I thought too. By the way, Zioxiu, are you hungry? I think she just got up and came to find him. The look on Hian's face was turbulent. I'm hungry. Grandma has made some soup. Do you want to go over and eat it? Let's go, I'll accompany you there. There is no need to turn off the lights here, just lock the door in the main room. There are people all around, so I'm not afraid of people coming over to steal things. After locking the door, Hians naturally stepped forward and took Mei Shui's hand. Let's go there. Meixue didn't try to break free, so she just let him lead her forward. His hand was warm but very thick. She thought she had to work a lot. While walking, Hians also talked to Mei Shui about what happened during the day, saying how much he Jiao admired her, which made him, the older brother, have to step aside. Meixue listened happily without making a sound. Here you come in quickly, it's windy outside. Grandma. He heard the sound and came out of the kitchen. Grandma, Zioxiu is hungry, Hian said to his grandma with a distressed look on his face. Grandma. He glared at him angrily. Do you want to tell me? I don't know yet. Then she looked at Mei Shui. Zioxiu, come here quickly, the soup is ready, come and eat. Grandma. He and Hians also ate some with them, otherwise Mei Shui would eat alone for fear that she would not be able to eat well. After dinner, the three of them tidied up the house here and then walked directly to the new house. If you agree to stay there today, you will go there today. The place has been packed up after an afternoon. Grandma. He and Mei Shui have already started preparing simple furniture and bedding. In the main room, the TV that Hians bought was placed aside in an eye-catching manner. Grandma. He's radio is also placed there. 2 household appliances are a huge sum of money. Grandma, do you want to watch TV? Zioxiu had just woken up not long ago, and she definitely couldn't fall asleep at this time. Hians helped Grandma get closer to the firebox and asked, would you like to take a look? I haven't started watching it this time. Yes, of course, hurry up, open it and take a look, listen to what they say, there is someone inside this thing. Grandma. He said cheerfully. The TV comes with an antenna, so Ans doesn't know if it can receive TV signals. It's his first time using this thing, but when he bought it, he asked him to move the 2 wires more often. At that time, someone will appear. Let me try. After turning on the TV, I dialed a few channels, but unfortunately I couldn't see anyone or hear any sound, only black and white snowflakes. Meixue walked over and said, you adjust the channel, and I'll move the antenna. This thing is really an antique. Things that appear in books are antiques. Sure, move, slower. After the 2 of them fiddled around for more than 10 minutes, they finally found a station. Just dialing in the news. Come out, Grandma. He shouted as soon as she saw the figure and heard the sound. Meixue glanced at her grandma and saw that she was smiling like a child, and she was also happy. That's it, let Grandma watch. She just stayed with Grandma. Sure, if you want to see it in the future, You can also adjust it like this, Hians told Mei Shui some matters. Well, I understand. The two of them walked to the firebox and watched TV with Grandma. It was very fresh for the first time. The three of them watched it with gusto, even Mei Shui watched it. It wasn't until Grandma started to gasp that Mei Shui stopped. Grandma, I'll see you tomorrow. It's getting late today, so I have to go to bed. She still remembers the time when her grandma first got the radio. She listened to it for most of the night, and she doesn't know how she survived. So, she will not allow Grandma to stay up late this time. Watch it for a while, just watch it for a while. Grandma, he was watching it enthusiastically, and there was a costume TV series playing in it. Mei Shui was also enthusiastic about those who were beating and killing her, but... Grandma, he turned to look at Xiaoxiu with an aggrieved look on her face. Watch it for a while longer, okay, she asked with a pleading look on her face. But who is Mei Shui? No, this channel will be available tomorrow. Let's watch it tomorrow. Of course she disagrees. There will definitely be no tomorrow. Grandma, he shook her head. Hians was a little surprised when he saw his grandma like this for the first time. Would Grandma be afraid of Xiaoxiu? What a miracle! Grandma, why don't you watch tomorrow? Xiaoxiu is still pregnant. There are sounds here, and she will definitely not be able to sleep, Hians persuaded. Grandma, he felt angry because she was not allowed to look at her. Xiaoxiu felt distressed in no time, so why did she get angry? So. It's all your fault. You said you have money, right? Why buy a TV? It's so expensive. You have no money, right? Hians knew that he had become a vent for his anger, and he felt very aggrieved. He looked at his wife and said, Xiaoxiu, do you think I shouldn't buy it? Mei Shui rolled her eyes at him and said, buy it? Grandma can buy it if she likes it. Then she looked at her and said, but Grandma, you can't stay up late watching it. It's not good for your health. In this way, Hians was spared a scolding. After sending Grandma into her room, Mei Shui and Hians returned to their upstairs. Lying on the bed, Mei Shui couldn't sleep. She asked Fang Kai about their affairs again, just like listening to a story, which she found very interesting. Do you think Fang Kai and He Jiaojiao can make it together? Mei Shui felt that she had never seen He Jiaojiao. I don't know why she defends herself so much, but she is always kind, and Mei Shui appreciates it. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 174. Chapter 174, Another Farewell. Mei Shui didn't pay much attention to Li Yu because she was full of malice toward herself. You should know, Fang Kai is a bit greasy-tongued, but he is very serious no matter what he does. This matter will be resolved in a few days. Hians was also happy for his good friend. Li Fei's family background is relatively poor, and there are very few people who can introduce him to the Prime Minister on weekdays. Even if there were some crooked melons and cracked jujubes, he would not like them. When it came to Fang Kai, everyone from his family and some neighbors introduced him to him, but unfortunately he didn't recognize anyone. In his words, he looked down upon her because she was uglier than him. He Jiaojiao was originally the youngest daughter in the family, and her parents were not the kind of people who favored sons over daughters, so their education was no worse than those in the city. Let alone appearance, just look at Hians and you will know that there is no ugly person named He in Hejia village. Of course, Hianhua is not ugly either, but he is just short. There's nothing that can be done about it. Who makes him look like his mother? It's easy to imagine that Auntie Jing'an's height is not over 150. Didn't Grandma Jinghua and the others come here because of Xiang Yang? In the end, These two people actually saw each other. I have to say that Fang Kai has good eyesight, Mei Shui said with a smile. Those who are kind to themselves are good people. Xiang Yang is not lucky. Hian smiled and said, why do you think so highly of Jiao Xiao? He couldn't believe it. He has come to understand what kind of person his daughter-in-law is these days. She is indifferent to others and is the kind of person who doesn't care about anything. It's really rare that he Jiao Jiao can make Xiaoxiu say a few nice words. Because she likes me, Mei Shui said happily. After the young couple chatted for a while, Hians went out. Grandma He downstairs had fallen asleep long ago. She had been able to stay up for a while, and considering her age, it was impossible for her to stay up long. Hians took Xiaobai to Chaotian Mountain, while Mei Shui said hello to Xiaobai and fell asleep directly. This child may be the reincarnation of the god of sleep, causing her to want to sleep every day. After running up and down all night, Hians finally moved all his things down the mountain, and the bed was restored to its original condition just before dawn. The fact that Grandma He didn't hear anything at all was also thanks to Xiaobai. Xiaobai directly used some of his own power to make Grandma He sleep more deeply. Well, it found a piece of grass on the mountain. This piece of grass can deepen people's sleep. It put it directly on the bedside of Grandma. Let Grandma He have no dreams all night until dawn. Xiaobai left. I have to go to sleep for a while, it's too tiring. After Hians restored the bed, he felt a little swaying. Xiaobai buzzed and ran directly to the yard, and Hians didn't pay much attention to it. Go upstairs, change clothes, hold my wife and children in my arms and take a nap. He has to go back to the county town this afternoon. He can be hugged for a while. There are still a lot of things waiting for him to do in the county. He doesn't know how long it will be before he can come back. However, his wife still needs to be taken to the county town for a checkup. Whether it is for her or the child, he has not seen it with his own eyes and heard it with his own ears, which makes him a little worried. By the time Hians woke up, lunch was over. Mei Shui didn't wake him up because she knew what he was doing last night. Get up, Grandma is going out to play. She was the only one at home. Where did Grandma go to play? Hians asked unclearly. Where else can we go? He went to the village to show off, but Mei Shui would not say this. Grandma went to the creek. Oh, Xiaoxiu, I'm going to the county town soon. Do you want to go with me? He wanted to take her for a checkup. Meixiu quickly shook her head. No, I won't go. I'm fine at home. She was too lazy to move now, so she didn't want to go to the county town. Seeing the reluctance, Hians walked to Xiaoxiu and said, I want to take you to the hospital for a checkup. It wasn't that he didn't trust the doctors in the town, but that he believed more in the medical level in the county. How could Mei Shui be willing? No one knew her situation better than Xiaobai. If I don't go, I'll check it out in the town. Besides, the doctor said I'm fine. I just need to rest more at home. Now I don't go anywhere. No. She just doesn't want to move around. Seeing that Xiaoxiu was a little excited, Hians showed no compulsion and immediately held Mei Shui's shoulders. Okay, 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 no, we won't go. If she didn't want to, forget it. Mei Shui, who was slowly calming down, also knew that she was a little too aggressive. She said with an embarrassed look, I don't like the smell of the hospital, she explained. Seeing that she had given in, Hians had already given up on his idea. Okay, I won't go. If you don't like it, we won't go. Mei Shui broke away from Hians's arms and said, you are hungry, go and eat. Grandma is still cooking in the kitchen over there. She felt a little embarrassed. Well, it's okay if I'm at home. If I'm not at home, it's still a little inconvenient to cook there. I'll bring all the firewood here later, and we'll live here from now on. Well, I think so too. Then go ahead. If she hadn't been so powerless now, she would have done these things herself. After Hians finished his meal and took care of his family affairs, he got into He Jinnan's car and left the village directly. Grandma he also went home to accompany Xiaoxiu. The home has returned to its previous tranquility. This kind of tranquility is Mei Shui's favorite day. Grandma, I'd better not make this dress because my hands hurt. She was once again disappointed with her ability to do things. Grandma he stopped laughing at Xiaoxiu a long time ago. After the first time, she knew it and saw that she was going to make trouble on her own, so she just let her play. Unexpectedly, Xiaoxiu gave up before even making this piece of clothing. Okay, I won't do it anymore. I'll let Ans buy it the next time he comes back from the county town. The family is not short of this money. Well, I think so too, Mei Shui said with an arrogant look. After normal life got back on track, time also entered May. During this period, Ans came back once, and their store in the county town was also opened. The three of them took the money together. He is not stupid and will not give out all his money just to help others. The three of them took whatever goods they had. After 2 months of hard work, the business gradually became prosperous. And things in the team did not go as Xiangyang and Hans wished. Boss Zhu was unwilling to give up the relationship in his hands. In the end, Hans did not leave for Mingcheng with Boss Zhu. Instead, he stayed in the county town. As soon as the convoy was disbanded, Hans went back home and discussed with Mei Shui about setting up a new convoy with Xiangyang and others. Mei Shui has no objection, as long as he is willing. Hans took some money and left. He had no choice but to do so. There were too many things in the county and he was too busy to take care of both. He also heard some voices of dissatisfaction with his wife. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 175. Chapter 175, Anyone who talks about my wife is my enemy. Additional update. Brother my sister-in-law has gone too far. You are so tired. She still doesn't know how to understand you and come to the county with you. What's so good about being in the countryside? Liu doesn't know what's going on these days. Every day he ran to the hut where Hans lived to help. Hans has said this many times, but for the sake of his friends, he didn't say much, but he has always deliberately avoided it. He happened to be back from home today, and everyone was having dinner at his place. Unexpectedly, he heard Liu complain. If you feel tired, you can leave. I don't need your help here. Hans's face suddenly fell. Also, she is my wife, and I am willing to spoil her. Do you have any objections? Seeing Hans's change of expression, Li Fei knew that brother he was angry and immediately ran away from his sister. What are you talking about? My sister-in-law is pregnant and has physical inconvenience. Then she said to Hans with a flattering look on her face, Brother I'm sorry, Xiao Yu is still young and can't speak with her brains. Li Yu was certainly not happy to hear his eldest brother talking about him like this. Brother, you're the one with the brain problem. Besides, I'm right. If she is willing to come to the county town with brother he won't have to worry about returning to the village every day. She was dissatisfied. Fang Kai smiled, what does this have to do with you? She is his wife, and he is willing to pamper her. What do you think? Besides, in what capacity do you say this? Fang Kai's words were also words and deeds. Yes, he and Jiao Jiao began to fall in love. After 2 months of getting along, he had already been tempted to propose marriage, but he had been busy here, so he couldn't set a time. When the parents heard that it was a girl from Han's village, they immediately understood and nodded in agreement. Now just wait for Fang Kai to stop and then go to propose marriage in person. You know, her wife likes her sister-in-law more than she likes him. Brother Fang Liu was dumbfounded. Why do you say that? Otherwise, what should I say? That's a matter between husband and wife. You are an outsider. It's not good to talk too much. Also, please put away your little thoughts. My sister-in-law is pregnant now and doesn't want to deal with you. Wait until she comes to her senses. Come, I'm just afraid. Fang Kai didn't feel at ease. Li Fei knew how close brother he was to his sister-in-law, but his sister was also his biological sister. He had told her many times, but she never listened, and he was helpless. Hians looked at Li Fei and Li Yu and said, Xiao Fei, if you continue to be so indulgent, you want to come between us. Brother he before Hians could finish speaking, Li Fei interrupted him. He knew that brother he was really angry today. Don't worry, my little sister will not appear in front of you in the future. That's right, little sister. Now that I'm old, it's time to get married. Li Yu looked at his eldest brother and the others in disbelief. What do you mean? I'm not wrong. It was her fault that brother he was so tired. Hian stood up, took Li Yu, and walked directly out the door. She is my wife. I suffer for her and am tired for her. I am willing to do it. What does it have to do with you? As soon as he finished speaking, Hians pushed the person out of the door and closed the door. Turning his head to stare at Li Fei, looking into his eyes, fortunately, he did not lose this friend. Xiao Fei, please send your sister back first. Fang Kai stood up and said. The relationship between them should not be affected by a woman, if Li Fei can't figure it out. Fang Kai narrowed his eyes and said, if you have something in mind, just say it. Don't hold it back. We are brothers, he said seductively. Li Fei sighed and shook his head. I told her many times, but she just didn't listen. In fact, I'm annoyed too. Forget it, forget it. I'll send her back first and she'll be back soon. Li Fei shook his head and sighed, opened the door, pulled the people outside the door and walked towards the main road. After there was no sound outside, Fang Kai and Hians looked at each other and smiled. Brother he, do you have any ideas? Both of them are human beings. I have no idea. Anyone who dares to say anything wrong about my wife is my enemy. This is a serious statement. But it was also what was in his heart. Fang Kai said, hey, she has the same virtue as Jiao Xiao. She won't even hear anything unpleasant about her sister-in-law. After saying that, Fang Kai laughed. Okay, stop talking so much. What are you going to do with Jiao Xiao? Hians asked with concern. When the goods are sold out, I will use part of the money to propose marriage, Fang Kai said without hesitation. Sure, let me set aside 1,000 for you. The money in the store now is not like it was at the beginning, only a few hundred or a few thousand. At the beginning, Li Fei gave out 500 yuan, Fang Kai gave out 1,000 yuan, and Hians took out 1,000 yuan, and this small shop was opened like this. Fortunately, the goods in Guangzhou are really cheap. The black and white TVs they sell only cost 400 to 500, but they cost thousands to sell, let alone those small things. 1,000 is a lot for people in rural areas, but Fang Kai and Hians obviously don't want to wrong their daughter-in-law. No matter what the Li family planned, in the end, Hians never saw Li Yu again after this time, and the relationship between the three of them was not destroyed. In May, Hians, Xiangyang and someone who came here for fun reorganized the team. However, they had little money, so they bought a big truck. It was like starting over. A month has passed since the last time he went back. Hians wanted to go back to see his grandma, wife, and children, but there was business in the motorcade again, and he couldn't leave for a while. But he knew that Uncle Zhao was going back to the village soon, so Hians bought a lot of things and asked Uncle Zhao to help bring them back. Uncle Zhao was dumbfounded after seeing the thing. You brat, do you still want to prepare these things? Your aunt has already prepared them. They knew about Xiaoxiu's pregnancy when they went to buy ginseng last time. As soon as he came back and made arrangements for the old man, he asked his wife to get ready. Also, can these things be used by children? I don't know if they are clean or not. Looking at the few sets of clothes that were close to the body, Uncle Zhao was full of complaints. Hians also smiled bitterly. There is no way, no one at home can do it. He has no mother, and his grandma's eyesight is blurred, her hands are too stiff, and she can't move a needle, so she can only buy these things. What a pity, both Li Shuangshuang and Aunt Milian had prepared these little things for Mei Shui, but they never told her for the sake of a little bit of fun. Then Grandma He asked Mei Shui to talk to Hians and let him buy some. There is another way of saying this, I don't know. Hians was also confused. At this time, Aunt Jian came out of the kitchen and said, "Don't listen to his nonsense. These clothes are very good. You can take them home and wash them for the children to wear." After saying that, she glared at Lao Zhao. "Don't talk nonsense. If you don't understand, you might scare the child. Happy weekend, I really want to go out and play, but I really can't afford it with my handicap speed. I ask for a recommended ticket and a monthly ticket. I don't ask for a reward. You don't love me, oh, the ticket moves?" End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 176. Chapter 176, Being Remembered. After hearing that it worked, Hians breathed a sigh of relief. That's good, that's good. Uncle Zhao, I'm going out of town these days, and I can pick some of the vegetables at home. Ask Brother Qian to help me pick them up when he comes to the village. Can you take these things back? Aunt Qian took it and said, "No problem. It just so happens that I haven't seen Auntie and Xiaoxiu for a long time. I'm going to see them this time." She wanted to thank the two saviors in person. Although they gave money, such good ginseng cannot be bought by those with money. Besides, if the old man is missing from the family, there are some things that cannot be explained to outsiders. Then thank you Aunt Jian and Uncle Zhao. Hians knew that they had a good relationship with his grandma Xiaoxiu. "You boy, have you eaten? How about some?" Uncle Zhao was greedy for wine. That girl Xiaoxiu refused to sell her wine to her death, which made him greedy to death. "No, I'll have a drink with Uncle Zhao." This was not the first time Hians came, so of course he knew what Uncle Zhao meant. "Okay, daughter-in-law, let's get some food and drinks." In the village, Mei Shui's belly became visibly bigger. "Even though I am only 4 months old, my belly is obviously bulging." Such a situation made several people around Mei Shui very anxious. In addition, An Wen's wife was also pregnant, so everyone wanted to know what was going on. Some people guessed that she was pregnant with twins, some said that the plum and snow months were not in the right month, and so on. Grandma He is a stable one, and she also has some guesses in her mind, but she is not sure yet. It is normal for some children to grow quickly in the early stage and have obvious belly. "Xiaoxiu, are we going to the hospital for a checkup by then?" Grandma He stayed awake cautiously, fearing that Xiaoxiu would think too much. She has heard the words of the fast-talking women in the village recently, but she has never encountered them, so she did not deal with them. "Grandma, don't worry. I may have 2 children in my belly. I don't have a big market tomorrow. Let's drive Uncle Jinnan's carriage to the town." Mei Shui also knew that her grandmother was worried about her. She just didn't expect that there would be 2 children in her belly, which made her speechless. She felt a headache even with one of them, but now it was better, 2 came. Mei Shui would not have thought that she would be pregnant with 2 children if Xiaobai hadn't made a desperate effort to ensure that there were 2 in her belly. "Hians, this matter is not over yet. Okay, I'll listen to Xiaoxiu, then go to bed early today." Grandma He was very happy when she heard that Xiaoxiu was willing to go to the hospital. And in the village, there was a lot of excitement in the house of a family named Chen in the 4th group. "Hey Xiaojing, your son is so cute and smart. Tell me about you. Even if you are good looking, how can you have such a good child?" Opposite the person who spoke was sitting a beautiful woman, who looked to be only about 21 or 12 years old, holding a child of about 2 years old in her arms. Obviously, this was said as a compliment to this person. "This woman is the daughter-in-law of the Chen family. It's not as good as you said." She is still young and can't tell whether she is smart or not. She was very proud that she gave birth to a boy as soon as she entered the house. She has also established a firm footing in her husband's family, and her man is one of the most capable people in the village. In their village, their house is built with bricks, while other houses are built with wooden houses or wooden buildings. Even if that's not what they say, it is said that you will grow old at the age of 3. Look at your average family and how fluently you speak. He must be a smart child. Several people around him were complimenting me. No, your mediocre appearance is rare and cute in our village if you ask me, Xiaojing. Your Chen Gang is not worthy of you at all. This man was obviously speaking in a flattering manner. The name of the woman holding the child was Ma Jing. When she heard this, she actually agreed with it. If it hadn't been, forget it, it's all over. Besides, her life was not bad after she got married. It was much better than her mother's family. Now, she is in charge of the entire family, and even the mother-in-law has to give her a third share. Gangzi is very good, Ma Jing replied with a smile. Only she knows what she thinks in her heart. By the way, I heard that Aunt He's wife's belly is showing. Ma Jing mentioned it intentionally or unintentionally. Is it really unintentional? I do not know. No, many people in the village now say that the child is strange. Maybe, after saying that, some women laughed. Haha, don't talk about this to anyone. It would be bad if Aunt He hears it. Have you forgotten what happened to Mrs. Chen and her family? A person reminded kindly. Then we are not talking nonsense. It has only been 4 months since we last met, and the belly is already bulging. Who knows what happened? Just think about it. He spends very little time at home, and that little daughter-in-law is not economical on fuel. I heard she has friendships with big bosses in the town. Who knows what kind of friendship it is? Do you think it is? Ma Jing stopped talking to each other after she started talking, and listened with a smile as they talked about some dirty talk. They are all married women, so sometimes they speak a bit obscenely. She was not used to it at first, but now, she is used to it. When I got in the car, I caught a glimpse of the boss from a distance. He looked really good. I've seen it too, but I'm a little older. Wrong, the older one is the old boss, and the younger one is the big boss who comes to the village to collect vegetables. Everyone is sharing their news. Whose child does this belong to? Ma Jing asked in confusion. Hey, who knows about this? I'm sure it's not he. And the thin woman who was not well dressed said with certainty. Ma Jing became energetic. Sister-in-law, don't say these nonsense, or something will happen. There was a reminder in the words, but the eyes were full of gossip. Hey, I really can't say for sure. Xiaojing, you are kind-hearted and don't think about it. If you count the days, you should have such a big belly for at least 6 months. But Aunt He said, her granddaughter-in-law is just over 4 months old. Everyone is like a god, calculating things there. No way, she dares to do this. Ma Jing was very angry. Only she knew what she was angry about. But she just remembered it. Since someone dares to say so with certainty, then the child is most likely not he An's. There are no women in the village who are messing around, but no one dares to kill anyone. After finishing the gossip, the group of women dispersed. An honest woman walked at the end, and she walked up to Ma Jing. Xiaojing, don't talk about this matter, otherwise you will get into trouble. This woman is also Ma Jing's sister-in-law, just a cousin-in-law. She came over for a walk today because she was bored. The two families were already walking quite often. Sister-in-law, what are you talking about? Am I such a fast-talking person? Ma Jing said with a smile. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 177. Chapter 177, good news. Besides, if this is true, then you have to tell Hien so that the village will not be shamed, it's so grand. Cousin Chen looked at Ma Jing. She knew what happened at the beginning. If her mother-in-law hadn't told her, she wouldn't have thought that her sister-in-law had such a side. As long as you have an idea. The reason why Ma Jing married Chen Gang in the first place was not because of money. The Chen family is rich, but the Ma family is short of money. Chen Gang also likes Ma Jing. Not only is she good looking, she is also a well-educated person who graduated from junior high school. So he spent some effort to get close, but after getting closer, he realized that Ma Jing had someone he liked in his heart, and that person was Hien's. They were classmates and in the same class. Hien's appearance is indeed outstanding, but one thing bad about him is that his family is poor. How could the Ma family marry their daughter to a poor man? They saw that their daughter was good looking, and she was able to complete the household chores every day without having to pay for her education. That's why she was allowed to go to school. I just wanted to wait for her to be able to sell it at a good price after she made a profit, but in the end, she got her wish. Ma Jing had made her feelings clear to Hien's at first, but it was a pity that the falling flowers had feelings and the flowing water had no intention. Hien's was focused on making his grandma's life better, so he had no time to talk about it. Coupled with the barrier between Chen Gang and Ma's parents, the matter between Ma Jing and Hien's was interrupted. Chen Gang is 5 or 6 years older than Ma Jing, and her appearance is not that good. Her heart and eyes are full of pain. Fortunately, he has one good thing, that is, he has money. In the end, Ma Jing married Chen Gang, who lived in the same village as Hien's, and Chen Gang also intentionally invited Hien's to his home for a drink. But with the situation at Hien's home at that time, how could he go out to drink? Also, the two families are not familiar with each other. Hien's didn't go, but he knew from the villagers that Chen Gang married an intellectual and was his classmate. Hien's had forgotten about Ma Jing a long time ago. If this person was mentioned in front of him, he would not be able to remember his appearance. Ma Jing has always been worried about Hien's affairs, and wants to get close to Grandma He intentionally or unintentionally. Unfortunately, Grandma He's temperament is really not that easy to get close to. After some days, she stopped trying to warm her face to her cold butt. Slowly, her life got better and better, and she stopped thinking about Hien's. Maybe she had a sense of balance. Seeing that the He family's life was getting worse day by day, she felt inexplicably happy. But these days were broken last year. At first, she heard that Hien's was going to marry a woman without a father and a mother. She was very angry, but after thinking about it, she was able to let go. But not long after, when the life of the He family became the same every day, her feelings of jealousy, sourness, etc. began to make her pay attention to the Hien's family again. Especially after the woman got into a fight with people in the village and everyone in the village started gossiping, she slowly joined in. The former aloofness has long since disappeared. All that is left is the gossip of the village women. Meixiu didn't know that she was being remembered. After breakfast, she and her grandma went to find Uncle Jinan and asked him to drive them to the hospital in the town in a carriage. Upon hearing this, Jinan did not go up the mountain, directly hitched the carriage and pulled the two of them out of the village. When passing the fourth group, many people were washing clothes by the stream, and everyone was gossiping. Mei Shui's 5 senses were sharp, and she heard some sounds even from a distance, but she didn't pay much attention to them and waited until she came back from the hospital to talk about anything. It seems that people in the village have been in a state of flux recently. Going to the town hospital, she found the doctor who examined her last time again. Grandma He came prepared this time. The first time she was in a hurry, her heart was all about Zioxiu. She was so happy about the second checkup that she forgot to thank the doctor. This time, she came fully prepared. As soon as she saw Dr. Li from last time, Grandma he looked around and then walked to Dr. Lee. Dr. Lee, thank you for last time. This old lady is clumsy and doesn't know what to say, but you have to accept this little trick. I'll feel bad if you don't. Grandma he took out a red envelope from her arms. Grandma he was very generous about this matter. It's about Xiaoxiu. Small things are big things. It's just money. She has money. The red envelope didn't contain much, just 20 yuan, but for an old rural woman, it was a lot of money. Dr. Lee touched it, and if it was not thick enough, she took it according to the old man's wishes. If it was too thick, she would be embarrassed to take it. You must know that she herself came from the countryside, and the conditions were there. No one was rich. If she didn't take it all, I'm afraid the old man would be worried, so after touching it, Dr. Lee smiled and put it in his pocket. That's a good feeling, thank you, old lady. Seeing the doctor accept it, Grandma he was very happy, as long as others didn't dislike it. Thank you, thank you. The doctor has to ask you to check on my Xiaoxiu today. Why is her belly so big after only 4 months? Grandma he stepped aside and let Dr. Lee see her standing at the door. Light snow outside. Mei Shui was speechless. Grandma was really good at playing and even learned how to give gifts. Hello, Dr. Li. Mei Shui walked in. At this time, there was no one in Dr. Li's room, and Mei Shui walked in with a smile. Dr. Li took a quick look and said happily, let's go, I'll take you for a B ultrasound. It looked like she might be pregnant with twins. Mei Shui knew her situation, but her grandma didn't, so she followed Dr. Li out directly. Dr. Li took Mei Shui for a thorough examination, and the smile on her face never stopped. Old lady, as soon as he entered the room, Dr. Li called to Grandma he, congratulations, Xiaoxiu is pregnant with twins, or 2 sons, Dr. Li said in a friendly manner. But the voice was low enough that only 2 people could hear it. Mei Shui rolled her eyes, but she was still satisfied. Really, the old lady was excited. Normally, she would say that it would be good to have a daughter, but that was just to prevent Xiaoxiu from being stressed. But now that she heard the doctor say they were 2 great-grandsons, Grandma he felt like she was flying into the sky. Really, Dr. Li, Grandma he asked with a silly smile. Meixia couldn't stand it anymore. Grandma, the doctor said I'm fine. Let's go. Don't disturb Dr. Li here. She really didn't like the smell of the hospital. Let her have the urge to do something. Don't be anxious, don't be anxious. Grandma knows you are feeling uncomfortable. Please go outside and wait for Grandma. Grandma can talk to Dr. Li. Okay, Grandma he coaxed Xiaoxiu, who looked impatient. What can Mei Shui do? Can she be towed away directly? Smiled and gave Dr. Li an apologetic look, asking her to be more patient. Dr. Li understands, and even better understands the old lady's thoughts. After the people left, Grandma he took Dr. Li's hand and almost jumped up with excitement. Remember to vote, whether it is a recommendation vote or a monthly vote. Thanks babies. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 178. Chapter 178, The Showing Off begins. After Dr. Li comforted the old man, he told her what pregnant women should pay attention to. Grandma he listened attentively and remembered. Dr. Li explained these matters to Mei Shui after the examination, but he still explained them to the family again. After coming out of the hospital, Grandma he went directly to the supply and marketing cooperative and spent money freely. Seeing that Mei Shui refused to go in, he Jinan drove his carriage to a shady place. Xiaoxiu, what's wrong with third aunt? Mei Shui leaned against the frame of the car. I'm too happy, alas. When Grandma he came out, she had so many big and small bags in her hand that her little body was almost overwhelmed. He Jinan immediately stepped forward and took the things from Grandma he, third aunt, you must have bought too much. Not much, not much. There are still a lot of things that I haven't finished buying yet. Let Ans buy the best ones in the county, the old lady gasped and said with a smile. When Mei Shui saw her grandma coming, she immediately took out a hand bottle and asked her to drink some water. The water in it was all from her spiritual spring. After she became pregnant, she drank it directly without diluting it, and grandma drank it for a long time, so there was no need to dilute it. Anyway, the effect was already maximized. Space water has become like a nutritional supplement to grandma. It doesn't matter whether you drink it or not when you are in good health. After a sip of water, grandma he regained her composure and said, "Zioxiu, let's go home." Mixia breathed a sigh of relief when she could finally go back. He Jinnan knew that Zioxiu was pregnant with twins when he was at the door of the hospital, and he had already calmed down. Along the way, grandma he looked forward to the future, and Mei Shui slept peacefully. He Jinnan listened happily, thinking that it would be great if An Cheng gave him 2 grandsons. They walked very slowly along the way, and it was already past 3 in the afternoon when they got home. Fortunately, they had brought food with them on the way, otherwise they would have been really hungry. As soon as they returned to the village, the people gathered by the stream gathered around. Grandma he knew that some people in the village were talking crazy recently, and she was happy to gossip with them. My Zioxiu is pregnant with twins, and the doctor said the belly of the twins is much bigger. No, Zioxiu is my family's lucky star. Haha, whoever has the old woman will have a better life. All kinds of showing off, all kinds of showing off. Mei Shui has long been looking for an opportunity to escape. Wouldn't it be nice to go home and sleep? When Li Shuang learned that his sister-in-law was back, he immediately stood in front of his house and waited. As soon as he saw his sister-in-law coming up, he came over and said, "Sister-in-law, are you okay? What did the doctor say?" Seeing Li Shuang and others, Mei Shui smiled and said, "The doctor said that she is pregnant with twins, and her belly will be bigger than usual." She was willing to give a sincere smile to these people who she knew sincerely. That's good, hurry up, sister-in-law, you're tired, come in and have some hot porridge, I've just made it." She was pregnant herself, and she was always stuffed with oil and smoke, so her food was mainly porridge. Mei Shui saw that Li Shuang seemed to have lost a lot of weight recently, and thought about giving her some space water to drink. Anyway, there was a lot of water, and she couldn't finish it no matter how much she drank. "Sure, I still have something in my hand, you can bring it to my house." Mei Shui accepted the offer. As soon as she agreed, Aunt Zillian, who was under the eaves, stood up and said, Shuang, you and Zioxiu go over there, and I'll bring it to you. The steamed pickles are also ready, so I'll bring them to you together." "Thank you, Aunt Zillian." "Thank you, Mom." The two looked at each other and smiled. Li Shuang took half of the things in Mei Shui's hands, and the two walked to Mei Shui's home. As they walked, the two of them talked and got along very harmoniously. "By the way, sister-in-law, and when caught a lot of snakes this time, when will Boss Jian and the others come over?" After getting acquainted, Li Shuang and Mei Shui were like two sisters. Li Shuang usually takes care of Mei Shui in some trivial matters. Mei Shui gave Li Shuang the confidence to deal with major issues. "Maybe it's just these few days. Last time Ans came back, I asked him to bring a letter to Uncle Zhao and asked them to come over in mid-May. It's already the 10th, not a few days away." "That's good, those snakes were so noisy at night that I couldn't even sleep." Li Shuang breathed a sigh of relief. Mei Shui knew that the 5 senses would be sharper during pregnancy. In addition, their snake was placed in the main room, and Anwen's room was next to the main room, so it must have been very obvious. "Then just ask Anwen to put the snake at the back," Mei Shui said with a smile. "How can he bear it?" "Forget it, I won't lock him up for a few days. He will have to ask Dad to make a cage specifically for snakes." "It's okay. If it's inconvenient at home, just put it in my old house." It's empty anyway. This is a good idea. I will talk to An when he comes back. After arriving home, Mei Shui finally gave Li Shuangshuang a glass of diluted space water. It can be regarded as repaying the porridge feeling. Don't tell me, sister-in-law, the water at your house is sweet, but the water from this deep well is delicious. After drinking a glass of warm water, Li Shuangshuang said with a smile. That's right, Mei Shui dug a well at the edge of the yard. It was used for washing clothes and other things. Just like the old house, there was a mountain spring behind the house and a deep well in the yard. It is very convenient whether it is water or other things. Aren't they all water from the same mountain? What's the difference? Mei Shui said indifferently. It tastes good anyway. Li Shuang stuck out his tongue. Aunt Zillian soon brought the porridge and pickles over. Maybe she smelled the aroma, which made Mei Shui's mouth full. Li Shuangshuang was not very hungry at first, but when she saw her sister-in-law eating, she couldn't help but drink half a bowl more. It wasn't until the big bowl of porridge was empty that the two of them stopped. Aunt Zillian smiled happily when she saw how delicious they were eating. I finally see you eating something. Your mouth may taste different now that you're pregnant. No, everything tasted delicious before, but now, everything tastes tasteless. Li Shuangshuang responded with a smile. Mixu has not fallen behind, it may get better in a few days. She feels that her body has changed a lot recently, and it may not take long for her body to recover. Yes, it will be normal after 5 months. It was like this when I was pregnant with your sister Hong. Aunt Zillian recalled that year. Is this true? Li Shuangshuang didn't want to be like this. It was too pretentious and couldn't do anything. Of course, if you don't believe it, just look at Xiaoxiu, she will have a huge appetite next month. Mei Shui was happy. That's the best, I like to eat it, she said with a smile. By the time Grandma he came back, Mei Shui went to sleep again. Li Shuangshuang also went home, but Aunt Zillian locked the courtyard door, and she sat at the door of her house, guarding the door for Mei Shui. What are you doing sitting outside, Grandma? He asked Zillian in confusion. Wait for third aunt, Xiaoxiu is tired. I'm not worried about sleeping alone at home. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 179. Chapter 179, Borrowing Money. Please vote for me, please vote for recommendations. After having known each other for a long time, Aunt Zillian was no longer as afraid of Aunt 3 as before. Xiaoxiu is asleep, Grandma. He was startled, but I feel uncomfortable somewhere. No, I have to go back and take a look. Oops, it's all my fault. Why did I say it at this time? Third aunt, don't worry, Xiaoxiu is not feeling uncomfortable. She drank some porridge with Shuangshuang. She felt like sleeping when she was full. We were not all the same back then, Aunt Zillian said happily. Grandma he felt relieved and said, that's good, it scared me to death. After chatting for a while, Grandma he returned home. It was getting late. She had to make dinner, but she couldn't leave Xiaoxiu hungry. There are 2 in the belly, 1 eats and 3 take care of themselves, so they have to cook something good. In such a good day, Mei Shui and Grandma he encountered a trouble. The next day, because Mei Shui's body was recovering day by day, she no longer dozed off all the time. While he and Li Shuangshuang were basking in the sun in the yard, He Zhengting came over with He Anlin. Xiaoxiu, both of you are at home. Is third aunt at home? When He Zhengting saw someone in the courtyard, he opened the door and walked in. Mei Shui frowned unhappily, but no one noticed. Uncle Zhengting is here, Grandma is busy behind the house. It hasn't rained recently, so Grandma intends to change the well. He Zhengting breathed a sigh of relief when he heard that someone was at home. Then I'll go to the back of the house to find the third aunt, and you two can chat. After saying that, He Zhengting walked to the back of the house. And Anlin also called his sister-in-law and followed him. Li Shuangshuang is a discerning person. She said goodbye to Mei Shui after the others left. Sister-in-law, I saw that Uncle Zhengting came to see third aunt for something, so I went back first. I just felt sleepy, Li Shuangshuang said with a smile. Of course Mei Shui would not keep her. Besides, she also wanted to know what was going on with He Zhengting's visit. Sure, go ahead and sleep more and feel comfortable. She also came from those days and knew the sleepiness involved. Li Shuangshuang left the He family, but she was still a little worried, so she told her mother-in-law about it as soon as she returned. Aunt Zillian got up quickly after hearing this. 2 days ago she heard a quarrel in the house next door. It also mentioned the matter of An Wen borrowing money. Don't worry about this. If you're sleepy, go get some sleep first and see what your third grandma has to say. I hope it's not what she thought. What a pity, this is exactly what she thought. Behind the house. Grandma He looked unhappy when she heard He Zhengting's intention, no money. It turns out that He Zhengting brought An Lin here really to borrow money. Third aunt, you also know that we only have enough money at home. An Lin is not young anymore. This marriage is a big event and we can't afford to delay it, He Zhengting said pitifully. It's none of my business. He wasn't born by me. I still have to care about whether he gets married and has children. Besides, He Zhengting, is your family really poor? Grandma He knew a lot about her nephew. It's no different from his mother. He just wants to take advantage if he can, and he doesn't care who he takes advantage of. At the end of the year, you and An Lin will have a lot of money cutting wood. I don't believe you will have no money to marry him. One word revealed He Zhengting's little intentions, but in the end he underestimated this man's face. As the saying goes, a man who is shameless is invincible. And He Zhengting is one of such people. Third aunt, the family has been better off in recent years, but the family's expenses are also high, and we haven't saved much money in total. The woman's side also requires 600 yuan, which the family really can't afford. Grandma He stopped what she was doing and walked up from the well. You can't live without my house? My house has just been built. How can I still have so much money? At this time, Grandma He was complaining about He An's, seeing what he had done. He Zhengting gave An Lin a look and said, Third aunt, you are really the only one in the whole village who can help An Lin with this matter. Don't worry, he will be filial to you in the future. At this time, An Lin also knelt down in front of Grandma He very forcefully, which could be regarded as a kind of coercion. Mei Shui walked in. Grandma After seeing this scene, Mei Shui walked directly to her side and asked, what happened? He An Lin was very embarrassed to be looked at by Mei Shui, but for the sake of money, he still opened his mouth and said, Third grandma, please help me. I will definitely be filial to you together with brother Ans in the future. Hearing this, Grandma He was furious, but how could the protective Mei Shui make Grandma angry? What a joke, can you compare to He Ans? Are you filial? It's even more ridiculous. I didn't see you grateful when I taught you winemaking skills. To be honest, I don't believe it. Mei Shui's words were hard to hear, but they were not unreasonable. When He Zhengting saw Mei Shui talking, he couldn't help but said, Xiaoxiu, it's not that An Lin is filial, it's that he doesn't have the ability to be filial. As you know, he has only scratched the surface of brewing, and he can't sell it. How to be filial? What he said seemed to be all Mei Shui's fault. Uncle Zhengting, that's not what you're saying. Filial piety does not necessarily require money. I don't see An Lin paying attention to Grandma's affairs. Besides, my family has no money. Mei Shui doesn't want to talk about it. Some people are shameless. Grandma He also nodded and responded, that's right, we don't have any money at home. Ans gave Huo all the money we had. Now Xiaoxiu doesn't even have the money to give birth to a child. We are just waiting to sell the vegetables from the field this time. Drop some. Who wouldn't pretend to be poor? Hearing this, An Lin was a little confused, but he still didn't give up. No matter An Wen or He An's, their conditions were not as good as his, but they were all getting married and would have children soon, so how could he balance his mind? Third grandma, please help me for the sake of the whole family, I really have no choice, Lin cried. Grandma, he laughed angrily, a family? Ask your dad. If we were really a family, how could my man, my son, and my wife die back then? Upon hearing this, Grandma, he thought of what happened back then. Besides, he Zhengting, I didn't want to break up with each other, but since you are so shameless, I'll just tell you the truth. Grandma, he stepped forward and pushed Lin to the ground. Don't think I don't know what good things your father did back then. How did your third uncle get chosen by the people in the village to be the leader? I think you were sensible at that time. Your dad, he Zhenbei's dad, no one is missing, they are all the executioners who killed my man, so why should I help you? Grandma, he shouted the last sentence, with veins popping out on her face. Seeing her out of control, Grandma, Mei Shui was very worried. Uncle Zhengting, please take Lin away. My family really has no money. Even if we have money, do you think my grandma will borrow it? After saying that, he ignored the two of them and directly helped Grandma to the side and sat down. Grandma, don't be angry. Everything is over. If you can't let go, then I will kill their whole family. This happened very smoothly. The votes are moving. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 180. Chapter 180, How about we leave? He Zhengting and He Anlin were shocked when they heard Mei Shui's words. Are you crazy? He Zhengting shouted. I was still young and didn't know what happened back then. Besides, everyone is dead, so what's the point of trying to find out more about it? Thinking of what happened back then, He Zhengting also lost confidence. I didn't expect that the third aunt would actually know who was in charge. You are still young, how shameless are you? People who can work in the field still call you young. Oh, you really follow your parents, they are all so shameless. Many old accounts have been told that Grandma he was actually unwilling. Of course, she could endure the grievance because of He An's, and now, her unwillingness is also because of Xiaoxiu. If Xiaoxiu wants to live in this village, she cannot cut off her escape route. She can say that the entire Hejia village is responsible for what happened that year, and no one person can be blamed. But the brothers who bear the greatest responsibility are the He family brothers. Hate them for betraying their brothers, and hate them for not caring about flesh and blood. Grandma is not angry, tell me what you want to do, and I will do it. Her strength has not been restored recently, but it is enough to deal with these people. Xiaoxiu, don't be impulsive. This happened in the last life. We can't always live in hatred. After all, we all come from the same ancestor. He Zhengting saw the murderous look in Mei Shui's eyes and unconsciously gave in. These have nothing to do with me. I only care about my grandma. If she is willing, I will drag everyone to with her even if she risks her own life. Her only warmth was given by her grandma, her only affection was given by her grandma, and her only concern was also given by her grandma. She doesn't mind venting her anger for her grandma. Grandma he was very happy when she heard Xiaoxiu's words, but she was also sad that this revenge could not be avenged. He held Xiaoxiu's hand tightly and said, let's go. There is no need to talk about this matter. We don't need money, but we need our lives. If you have the ability, let the people in the village join forces to kill us. And Lin was frightened. He clung to his father's trousers tightly. When he heard that he was allowed to leave, he stood up without thinking. Dad, let's go. He Zhengting felt very uncomfortable. Things were not like this. He didn't want it to develop like this. This was not what he wanted to see. Third aunt, let me say sorry to you on behalf of the elders. Now that the matter has passed, I hope their aunt will think more about the children. Forget it. He Zhengting sighed, as if all his strength had been drained from his body, and helped and Lin out together. After the person left, Mei Shui helped her grandma up and helped her to the main room first. Grandma he was in great confusion after uncovering the scar, and followed Mei Shui's power. It seems as if he has no ability to perceive the outside world at all. Regardless of whether he Zhengting would tell others about this, Mei Shui was not afraid. Grandma, please sit down for a while and I'll get you a glass of water. If she had known they would harm Grandma like this, she wouldn't have let them in no matter what. Unfortunately, it's too late. With Mei Shui's hand, Grandma he drank a large glass of water unconsciously. This water is pure space water. Slowly, Grandma he came back to her senses. Zioxiu, why don't we leave here? Grandma he looked at Mei Shui with cloudy eyes and asked cautiously. Mei Shui shook her head, it's not us who did the wrong thing, and it's not us who left. She was not afraid. She is even more capable of protecting Grandma. Meixia called in her heart and called Xiaobai back. From now on, Xiaobai is not allowed to leave Grandma for a moment and protect her by her side. Mei Shui actually thinks too much. After those special 10 years, everyone has long been afraid. Even now, many juniors are not aware of what happened back then. Even if I know a little bit about it, I only heard it from the mouths of my elders. So, Grandma he's worries are unnecessary. Mei Shui's ability to make money has now helped some people in the village. Once these people unite, they are very powerful. But what if they attack you and Ans too? Grandma is afraid of Zioxia. Grandma he's tears flowed down again unknowingly. Seeing her grandma being so worried and frightened, Mei Shui was very angry. If possible, she really wanted to whip those people to death. Grandma, don't worry. We don't owe others anything in this village. Even if we do, they owe us. Why should we leave? She was unwilling to accept it. She has always bullied others and robbed others of their things, but how is it like now, escaping? Xiaobai came back soon. As soon as he came back, he found that the atmosphere at home was not right. He immediately asked his master, "Master, what happened?" After Mei Shui comforted her grandma, she hugged Xiaobai and put him in her arms. Also told Xiaobai about the matter in his mind. Xiaobai was also very angry after hearing this. He had seen too many things that happened back then. There are countless people who died unjustly, but what can be done? They are all dead, just like a rich man. All that is left of his family is the treasure, and all the roots are cut off. Master, wait for he Ans to come back. I'll give you some things for self-defense. Xiaobai thought for a while and said. Mei Shui was happy, what other good things can you have, but she accepted Xiaobai's offer. Xiaobai didn't say much. Anyway, when he Ans gets into trouble, he will hand over the things to them. Even if he can't become an immortal or a saint, he will at least be able to protect himself. In Grandma He's arms, Xiaobai was very good and obedient, comforting her with his furry little feet. After a while, Grandma fell asleep leaning on the chair. Meixia directly picked her up and put her grandma on the bed, but she also hurt her stomach and couldn't bear it for a while. Xiaobai was very worried. Master, go into the space quickly and take a good dip in it. It's not difficult for you to hurt the children. The master is very weak now. Such exertion will definitely hurt the baby in the belly. Mei Shui didn't waste any time, went out, and closed the door, leaving Xiaobai to guard her grandma. Then she went upstairs and entered the space. I don't know if the injury was too serious, but Mei Shui felt something flowing out of her lower body. When you touch your hand, there will be blood. Mei Shui's eyes were full of murderous intent. He Zhengting, he Anlin, I'm not done with you. No amount of hatred can compare to the child, because the child is grandma's favorite great-grandson. After soaking for who knows how long, Mei Shui fell asleep directly. Fortunately, the time in the space is different from that outside, otherwise. The two of them fell asleep immediately at noon. When Grandma he woke up, Mei Shui just came out of the space. "Grandma, I'm upstairs." As soon as she came out, she heard her grandma calling her from below, and she immediately responded. After taking a dip in the spiritual spring water, Mei Shui felt her belly warm and comfortable. People are not as pale as they were at first. Oh my God, why did I sleep for so long? Are you hungry, Xiaoxiu? Grandma will help you with food right away. I don't know if it was because of the sleep, but Grandma he simply forgot about what happened in the morning. Of course, she also felt that that matter was not important, not as important as Xiaoxiu and the child. After going downstairs, Mei Shui immediately asked about Xiaobai's grandma, and Xiaobai was speechless. Get your votes. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 181. Chapter 181, Grandma is Awesome. Of course, she also felt that that matter was not important, not as important as Xiaoxiu and the child. After going downstairs, Mei Shui immediately asked about Xiaobai's grandma, and Xiaobai was speechless. You think Grandma is like you, Master, and can't stand anything, but she is so powerful. Well, she was worried for nothing. Go into the kitchen. Mei Shui was still worried and asked one more question. Grandma, how do you want to avenge this revenge? Grandma he was stunned for a moment, and then she laughed. Okay, there are no outsiders here, so Grandma has already let go of that matter. Everyone is dead, how can I whip the corpse? Xiaoxiu, don't say anything about killing people in the future. This will scare Grandma. Grandma he was more worried about Xiaoxiu. Afraid of affecting her mood. You know, pregnant women tend to think too much when they are pregnant. What if she loses her mind and does something stupid? Don't tell me, how could Mei Shui not love such a grandma? But you feel uncomfortable, Mei Shui said with certainty. Grandma feels uncomfortable, but 10 years have passed, and Grandma has long since let go. Don't worry, she has really let go, but if she takes it up, she is still angry. Hate and anger are two different things. This incident with Enlin also made me see He Jingting's true nature clearly. You should be more careful in the future, Grandma, he said worriedly. It's okay. As long as he dares to think about it, I'm afraid of risking my life with him. This child, why are you playing with your life? His life is not as precious as yours. Well, don't stand in the way of Grandma. Grandma will prepare delicious food for you. Let's make up for it. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but in the days that followed, Grandma he stayed close to Mei Shui and looked after her all the time. And Mei Shui is also happy for her grandma to accompany her. That day, He Zhengting had a big quarrel with Aunt Ting as soon as he returned. After that, Aunt Ting took Anshan and left Hejia village. Of course, Anshan was not at home, she went to school. The boss of direct money brought his mother, Aunt Jian, to the village to collect vegetables, but Aunt Ting didn't come back either. After about a month or two, no one saw Aunt Ting in the village. The happiness that Aunt Jian's arrival brings to Grandma he. I'm telling you how easy this thing is to use. Come on, Auntie, and I'll teach you. It turned out that Aunt Jian had prepared many new gadgets from the provincial capital for Mei Shui. They are all for children. Grandma he is very interested in learning there. What kind of milk bottle, what kind of milk powder, etc. Too much stuff, and lots of toys. At this time, there were a lot of new and interesting things released in 1986. Mei Shui was also happy to see the smile on her grandma's face and was very grateful to Aunt Jian. Qian Xiang gave the last 5,000 yuan to Mei Shui and then followed and went up the mountain. There is no way, because Mei Shui is pregnant, so she will definitely not be able to go to the fields to pick vegetables by herself. Fortunately, Qianziang had already made preparations and invited 6 or 7 ants in the village, and then he picked all the cabbages on the mountain in the afternoon. There are many ways to eat this cabbage, and with its good taste, his business will be prosperous for a while. Not only the cabbage is ready, but also some other vegetables can be picked, but they are just a little tender, but it is not important. As long as you can eat it. The ants who were invited were all very jealous, but they only felt a little jealous and a little sad, and then mentioned to the boss the vegetables they had. If the boss wanted them, it would be a good idea to sell them. Qianziang had already prepared it, so he confiscated the cabbage, but he received a lot of other vegetables. The vegetables in these villages are much fresher than those he buys outside. The storage time will also be longer. In this way, more and more people in the village joined in, and more people were grateful to Mei Shui. He Jiao is one of the crazy fans. Her chickens were taken away by Boss Jian, and the price was 30 cents a pound higher than if they had sold them at a big market. If you do the math, a few dozen kilograms is quite a lot of money. The work in the vegetable field was almost done. Grandma He and Aunt Jian also prepared a table of meals for everyone. Of course, not counting those in the village, who all paid. He invited the guys brought by Qianziang. Mei Shui, let me tell you something. Do you think you can make other kinds of wine? The plum wine can't keep up. The store has been selling it sparingly, but now it's all gone. Qianziang gets a headache when talking about wine. Meixiu was biting a chicken leg. When she heard the wine, she smiled and said, "Okay, can you collect the snake wine? I'll add some medicinal materials to it." Meixiu has thought about this problem for a long time. If she hadn't been delayed because of her pregnancy, she would have taken action long ago. And now, as Grandma said, the better I live in the village, the more popular I will be with those who look down on their family. She wants to make money. Take it, that's a good thing, but Mei Shui, do you have a recipe? Medicinal wine is not a medicinal wine that can be made by just soaking it. Mei Shui was stunned. It was obvious that she didn't know the recipe, but she still knew a few medicinal wines in the books of later generations. It should be there. What does it mean that there should be? It really made a few people laugh. You, don't worry about being pregnant. Grandma is not short of your money. Grandma He was also afraid that the wine brewed by Xiaoxiu would poison people. Normally, those wines are fine. If they succeed, they will be wine. If they fail, they will be vinegar. They will not kill people. The medicines are different. If you really eat it, you will die in minutes. It would be bad to take someone else's life. Xiaobai was eating meat and it was delicious. After hearing the word medicine, he immediately glanced at his master. However, Hians hadn't come back yet, so he had to wait. Do you really have one? Qianziang was a little excited. Mei Shui nodded firmly this time. There are a few of them, but they are all for replenishing the body and nourishing the qi, not a prescription for curing diseases. She knows very little about ancient culture. It seems that when you have time, buy 2 medical books from this era and read them. I heard that many ancient prescriptions are in scrap yards in this era. It seems that she has to go to the town or county for a walk. It's okay, it's okay. Does it taste good? Qianziang was delighted. How about you brew a little and try it? Oh, okay, let me try. Mei Shui bit the chicken leg in her mouth and responded to him with a nonchalant look on her face. Of course, the wine issue is not limited to Mei Shui, but also the plum wine brewed by Anwen and others. Brother Anwen, you and An Liang have to help me make more plum wine this year. Don't let me always save money and sell it. I feel bad. Men talk to each other more directly. Of course Anwen is willing. Firstly, it can make money, and secondly, it can still make money. There is nothing he doesn't want to do. There are a lot of them on Miizi Mountain. Sure, how many do you want? After finishing the meal, Aunt Jian followed Qianziang and left Hejia village. She thought that she would come here once a month and it would be perfect to talk to Aunt He. She hasn't been so happy for a long time. In May, Mei Shui's cabbages were all harvested, and she asked Aunt Lanhua and others to help replant some vegetables in the back mountain. End of this chapter.